Amazing.
Bro, we are here. Last time we spoke face to face was in Austria, and now we're here warhammering over the internet, and it's very, very exciting. So, everybody, I'm so excited for our guest today. We actually have Christian Lord, and this guy is a Chad. This dude, he is one of the original co-owners of DreamHack. He has now since moved on. He's doing bigger and better things. But if you guys don't know what DreamHack is, it's like one of the biggest esports, cosplay, festival, everything festivals in the entire world. Mr. Christian here was actually responsible for like all of their marketing. He effectively founded the esports section of it. And now he is
Not
blessing
fully.
us. Well, and he's blessing us, and he is bringing all of his expertise to the world of Warhammer 40,000, which is, as you all know, the greatest freaking tabletop game in the world with the coolest freaking models. Although, all right, fair play, AOS has some pretty sick models too. But our hobby is growing, and Christian has some incredible stuff that he wants to share with all of us about what he's working on in the background to actually grow 40K and turn it into more of a professionalized hobby sport. Like, I'm not even sure how to phrase it. But anyway, I said enough. Christian, I'm going to pass it on to you, my guy.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I mean, I was still bummed that I didn't get to stream any of your games or do an interview on site from Leoben WTC, but you had a great performance. But you did join on to the Vesla show here about a month ago, and that was amazing for sure. So for you who maybe haven't heard about me or Vesla in the Warhammer 40K community, last summer we founded the Nordic largest Warhammer 40K community. We're trying to do live streaming, we're trying to do events, but primarily trying to embrace and nurture the already existing community of Warhammer 40K. I don't know what to say about everything else with DreamHack. I was working there for over 15 years. Was a co-owner, as Jonathan said, and had many different hats, creating the DreamHack Open and Dream League, both in StarCraft 2 and Dota 2. Was the head of esports for 2 years, and then I think for 8 years, also when we did the merger with ESL and Faceit for the EFG group. Then I was responsible for the global media platform. So like partners of mine were like the Twitch, the YouTubes, TikTok, Facebook, X, etc. But I also was running the Monster Energy global account for that, which was a gigantic endorsement and big support of esports Monster Energy. So that was exciting for sure. But I did a lot of crazy things within the esports side, and I don't know how to even summarize your opening part there, Jonathan, but I think that I joined in 2009 with DreamHack. And at that time, that was just when streaming with Twitch and then later on YouTube came alive. So it was for sure exciting to see how people came to our LAN festivals, and suddenly people really wanted to hear the result from those tournaments and really wanted to kind of be able to follow it. And at that time, you can only do it on site. And then, of course, we had to put it on live. And I think in 2011, it was already voted the esport event of the year when we ran the finals there in StarCraft 2, which was more than epic.
That is absolutely freaking awesome. And next time I get the opportunity to be on stream, just put the NSFW warning, because I always flash my nipples anytime I'm on stream. It's gonna happen. It's just it's a thing. Like I do a stream when I'm leading up, talking about like what army I'm gonna make for the tournament, and someone's gonna tip me to flex on the camera. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like so just be aware. Put the flash up. It's fine. All right, cool. So
we will survive.
We'll survive. Everyone will be exciting. It's a little hairy. It's fine. It's no big deal. So, what got you into 40K? Because now, as you kind of brushed over, I don't want to brush over it too much. You're running a company called Vizsla, which is a Swedish company, and you started out with Jesper Unader and Axel. Crap, I can never remember Axel's last name. Rydian. He's my favorite Swede. I just can't remember his last freaking name. Sorry, but anyway, and you guys are really, really trying to gather the Warhammer 40K community in Sweden. And for those of you watching who don't know, Sweden's like it's like right up there with the top 40K community in the world. Like the Swedish team has gotten like fourth for the past 3 years at the WTC, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And like they're incredible players, and the level of play there is amazing. I've gone to tournaments in Sweden. Holy crap, the average player there is just unbelievable. It's really, really cool to see. So Christian and his two friends, who are also members of the WTC team in Sweden, have actually started this organization, and they're really trying to professionalize 40K. And if you guys have listened to some of my other live streams, this is like a huge passion of mine. Like, how do we increase the professionalism of our tournaments? How do we bring money into the game? How do we get actual? How can we possibly work to a world where we actually get players who can make a living with 40K, just like we have players who make a living with League of Legends, and we have players who make a living with StarCraft, and we have all these things. Well, we got some serious competitive advantages in 40K over some of these other competitors that we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to really get into that. We've got lots of you guys questions are going to be in the chat, so we'll definitely have a little Q&A at the end. We're probably going to go for 45 minutes, maybe a few extra minutes, depending on Christian's schedule. But just buckle in, man, because we're gonna really be diving pretty freaking deep here, and I'm pretty excited. So,
Excellent. So how I got into Warhammer,
yeah,
I think was your question, right, Jonathan?
yeah, it's how I do. I apologize. Yeah, like let's talk about the
No.
Warhammer and let's
We're the
grow from
same.
there.
We are the same. I think this will be a lengthy one, and hopefully will be a bit entertaining and insightful. So, actually, I got into Warhammer in the late 90s. I think I was maybe 11, 12 years old or something along those lines, maybe even 10th. Started with the fantasy. I built a
Sure.
high elves army. I think I have like 6 or 8,000 points from the old system at least. So I do have it behind me. I haven't got back into old world, which is unfortunate. I did also buy a lemon or old or used Blood Angels army. Actually, I played some, but at that point I liked fantasy a lot more
Sure.
because I did feel that 40K was a lot more gachas. Like, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and it was maybe I felt less strategy
Mm-hmm.
to my likings at that point. And then I played that for a couple of years, and then I went into gaming and esports, started to compete myself in Quake and then in World of Warcraft, and I got into running Sweden's biggest esports site and then into the DreamHack part that we did. But in the spring of 2024, so last spring, after I had left EFG after 15 successful years, I was looking into new ventures. I had a little bit more of a spare time. And then just one day, I think late April, I was like, damn, I want to play a Warhammer game. Like, I
Let's
always love Warhammer. I
go.
always stayed a bit like in touch with it, but not so much into the lore and all of that. And I haven't touched the minis. And at that point, Space Marines 2 was out. I hadn't really discovered that Tacticus was a big thing. There's so many other great games, but I didn't find my liking. So I actually went into Warhammer.com and into the TV part because I knew there were a cool anime show about Blood Angels that was released, and I couldn't buy that subscription some year earlier. So I was like, I want to watch this show. So I bought the package there. I have subscribed on it since then, and I did I did watch this Blood Angel show, and I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna start with Warhammer. So I went down into the basement. I picked up my 20-year-old part, and I was like, okay, I mean, I'm a grown up now. I can't play without having painted models, and I hated to paint when I was a kid. I only wanted to play because I guess I'm somewhat competitive nature. At least when I was younger, I was skilled in games, so to speak. So I was like, I need to paint. And so I talked with my old friend, a colleague from DreamHack, and he actually said, after I think I spent like 50 hours on YouTube trying to figure out what paint I should buy. And then he just said, go to Alpha Spel. And I was like, Alpha Spel, what's that? Well, they have a really, really big store here in Stockholm. So I went there. I met, which I didn't know, the one who is running the boutique. And he recommended me Army Painter, Speed Paints, because those were kind of brand new at the
Mm-hmm.
time. I got that. I started to got home, painted my first like 10 tactical Marines that were, firstborn. And then like, I need to paint new stuff. I need to figure out what I'm gonna paint. So I need to figure out how to play. So
Okay.
that's where my journey started. So I went to a tournament called SSG that is close to here. It's one of the biggest ones in Stockholm and Sweden. Watched that tournament, from the morning to like I was there Saturday and Sunday, full days watching a game I didn't understand at all. But I was lucky that actually the winner team had a player called Alex, and he actually is a former partner of mine from Asus RG who sponsored the Dota 2 Dream League for many years.
Very cool.
And he was a skilled player. So I, became the fanboy on site, just following them, hanging on, like didn't understand the lingo, tried to understand, almost destroyed a Bella core by ruining that, but it did survive. So I learned that, pay attention around the tournament tables. And then we played our first game, and then from like 22nd of May until midsummer, so like in a month, I played 10 physical games in
Nice.
Stockholm. So like, I bought the stuff, I proxied a bit, but I really got into it. And during that time, maybe 2 weeks later, I went to Grimdark, another big tournament, and I met with one of the Team Sweden players, because I
Mhm.
had already done my like research and trying to understand what's big, who should you listen to, who really understands this. And actually, should also give a big shout out to StatCheck and Ines, because actually he did play Blood Angels, so I found him
Sure.
somehow and could like copy his list and get into it a bit. But during this tournament, and that I've been my second tournament watching, just watching, not do playing, I just realized like this is too cool. Like I'm a pretty outspoken social person, but I don't have like a big social life in Stockholm. It's normally being connected with business and traveling.
Mhm.
And I met more people in 1 month than I normally do like in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And these were just super cool people. So many different types of people from all different categories, all across a Swedish nation. And I just felt like I need to help this community. Like this is too good to be true. And of course, I had read like Games Workshop annual reports. I've been doing my research on this because that's just who I am.
Mhm.
And so like I think this is a great opportunity also for my end, but also to try to support. So I took a meeting then with Jesper, and I think we got along. We had like a lunch for 4 hours. We just got along, and we said,
Nice.
let's do this, because he was also very, of course, being the ranked number one player in Sweden for many years, being a tremendous competitor, which I couldn't value at that time, if I'm going to be honest.
Mhm.
He said also, let's bring in Axel to this, because actually is working actually within media. So he's working for the SVT, TV4, other those types of companies, and doing a lot of editing.
Okay.
So we felt like the combination of the three was a good mix.
Mhm.
And then we said, well, if we're going to do this, and you, Jesper, say that you think Sweden can win this year's WTC because they really believed in that team for 2024, we need to kick this off now. So
Sure.
this sounds a bit crazy, but I was actually on Ibiza with my fiance, and on that beach I launched Vaisla. So I worked like 8 to 10 hours during
Yes.
my vacation to just get this ship going. And then I borrowed things from good friends, and we went to Belgium to broadcast. And even though I done hundreds of events, I never been the one sitting doing the things. So it was really a crazy project, and I think it turned out fine. There were a lot of bad things. It still are not the most premium stream you can have with Vaisla,
Sure.
but I still think that we've been able to amp up it and doing it fairly top notch compared to a lot of other streams going on, and that's something I'm proud of. And it was just my doing things, and I barely could handle Photoshop at this time. Now I learned, both Photoshop and Premiere, and at least can do some more decent things. And we built it up with thanks to a good friend of mine who did the whole design of Vaisla. So we have a good Figma sheet that we're working everything on. So it's just doing and passion, I think.
Yeah, so that's perfect. And actually, if you guys have never watched the Vaisla streams, I've got Vaisla's channel linked in the description down below. So make sure you go give them a follow, because the streams actually really are top notch. Actually, we had two of our guys competing in their tournament who faced off against each other. Shout out to Eirik Rokne and Joshua Cowlard, who is the big green orc himself. So they were playing on stream there. But so this actually is I think giving us a really good starting point, because we actually had a comment in the comment section that really like I think is a good kickoff place for where I want to take this. So where I want to start actually in the future. I want to know, what do you think the future of 40K could be? Like, what could it actually be? What could it look like as a competitive sport for the players, for the judges, for the tournament organizers? And then I'm going to back up, and I want us to talk about how do we actually get there. And we're going to use like all of your esports experience, your organizational experience to say, okay, this is what competitive 40K could be in the future. And then we're going to back up and say, how are we actually going to get there? So give me your wildest predictions. What could life be for a competitive 40K player, like top of the world, mid bracket, what could it be? Because we have seen what StarCraft players have made, we have seen $1 million salaries for freaking Leagues of Legends players. Like, what could 40K actually be in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super great question to answer, but I would say I would take some of my, can we say, already existing knowledge within esports and the
Yep.
part that I was part of that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there is also some macro factors which at least I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So one part is, I've been very fortunate in my career within esports in the way that hosting the first CSGO major ever, which of course have been a pinnacle point within esports. Also, as I said, been running both StarCraft and Dota 2 on the very highest level, also from day one. I think we got the first 10,000 Dota 2 beta keys ever directly from IceFrog. That was how things were back in the days.
Yeah.
So I saw this part where in 2010, 11, I can say like the biggest esport event in Sweden before we ran something called Invitational in 2011 had 30 people showing up. Our first event in StarCraft 2 that we ran, we sold out 500 tickets within, I think, 72 hours.
Right.
We took the biggest news site in Sweden, Aftonbladet, their annual streaming budget we used in one Tuesday. Like, these are the crazy things. And the same thing, like, we were on Justin TV before Twitch. So when Twitch was branded in 2011, actually Justin Khan, the founder, came out together with some of the other co-founders like Kevin Lin, etc., to our event, because DreamHack at that time, we were ballsing the highest concurrent numbers of like 400,000 concurrent viewers hosting the LCS Worlds Season 1, for example, etc., etc. So I've been fortunate being really there, and where it goes from one day to another, and it goes from no money to actually big money.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about all this VC capital and everything that happened from like 2015 and on, that I think still esports is maybe paying a bit of that price, because things escalated just too quickly, and it was not in a good sense. So one part that I love is competition. I think that what we had in esports with the MLG, the ESL, the DreamHacks, the GOM, the NASL, etc., that was overall healthy and good. I think competition is great. And the fortune we have in Warhammer is just that we can almost never get too many tournaments. I think what we will see, and we're seeing it this year, is some maybe mid-tier, maybe not the best qualities. They have a hard time to fill, because now you can almost pick and choose. So I think a lot of the work right now within the Warhammer community is about stepping up and delivering even better events, because that's what people want. At the same time, it's a community. Like, we go always to this town in this month and we play this tournament, and we don't care what quality it is, because it's our friends and we love this, and the organizers are always amazing. So I think there is a bit different, just because we have such a strong community.
Sure.
And we are not a global community in that sense. We're actually a local community with pros and cons. But I think another part, and maybe to try to answer your question there, Jonathan, is also that I can say this. In 2011, I think, or 10 or 11, when CS 1.6, before Go came out.
Counter-Strike, yeah.
The world's best player had, I think, 700 euro a month as a salary, which to a Warhammer player sounds great.
Yep.
Reality is just that today, a player has like 30,000 euro in a monthly salary.
Right.
So maybe it's going down a bit now, because some of these organizations have been struggling, but that's just the magnitude on how things developed. I think another part was just like following the StarCraft 2 scene, which I would believe that a lot of Warhammer players are more connected to. Like, I could see when the first player got $300 in salary, the next one was 700, the one was 1,000, the next one was like 2,000, suddenly it was like 3,000 that EG and others did pay for their top players like Stefano or In Control, rest in peace, my friend, etc., etc. Like it escalated just over a year or two. And why was that? I think one part was that they built the platforms, building their YouTubes, but even more so their X, the Instagram, the Facebook. So building a profile. And we can see that in Formula One right now. Like, it's not only because they are great that like Norris or Leclerc have high salaries. It's because they're completely crushing it on the social media platform. So for sponsors and companies associating with them just gives them a tremendous reach.
Right.
And I'm a fan of Michael Schumacher. Yes, he was one of the most paid athletes in the world, but he didn't have this reach that these guys today have. They are mega stars
Mm-hmm.
even outside of the sport.
Certainly.
So I think for Warhammer, it's a bit about we're seeing already that you build a tremendous great platform, this channel, and have a big audience and followership. We see the Art of War guys crushing it over in USA. We see the Stat Check. We see Fireside. We see Six Pools. We see so many different outlets, and they actually starting to build something where they can make more and more a living. I think
Mm-hmm.
in StarCraft we saw that the first big bucks was from coaching. I know you're coaching yourself. I think that that's a way of utilizing this knowledge and able to even put in more efforts into the hobby. We see some hopefully in the future sponsors coming in and actually paying big bucks. I know that Red Dragon in Canada, for example, is one of the first endorsements for some players.
Yep.
So I think it would be stepping points, but I think that one hard side with Warhammer is that it's a hardcore hobby. So the store depths coming into it, and also just even watching a tournament. I watched LGT this weekend. It's almost hard for even me to see all the matches and
Yeah.
in the detail that maybe you should to appreciate what's going on. But I think that this is a technology, an investment, storytelling side. I think that there are ways of solving this. It will just take a bit of time.
Right. So let's get to
So
like
I think it's about
struggles and
laying
things
the
like that.
foundation.
Yeah, so let's get to like what the struggles and stuff later. Let's start at like where is the capacity? Where could it go?
Oh, sorry.
Could a human being make a living playing Warhammer? Is that something that is realistic?
So I think that individuals will absolutely get sponsorship and endorsements in the way that they will be able, especially connected with, running Discord or content
Sure.
creation or coaching. I think that there are a couple of pros. For example, Ines, he's fully living on his Warhammer nowadays.
Yep.
I think I guess maybe Scar is doing the same too. I
Yep.
think those are popping up, and for sure, the ones, for example, with Art of War, who
Hmm.
is the juggernaut and doing so freaking great right now. They for sure have several who more or less can make a living on it. So I think that will pop up. I think that the hard part is that the competition is much greater in team environment. And I just think that 8-man is just very unsustainable to
Yeah.
have, a 8-man team flying around the world, competing in various
Yeah.
tournaments and having it all paid and covered. And then even on top of that, having a salary. But I think so, absolutely. I think just that the Warhammer community together needs to find one way to attract big sponsors and building a stronger, can we say, social media or platform to be able to connect to the community with these brands. So if we say, so that's one part. The other
Yes.
part is the magnitude. Warhammer 40K right now, it's tremendously larger than ever before.
Huge.
It's really hard with
Huge.
these numbers, but I do think that people within this hobby are a bit, oh, it's like it was 2019, and they don't really understanding how much bigger it is today. So I think one part is about getting people to know about the tournament scene and
Hmm.
about this interest. And I think painting, for example, is also one of these parts we see, like Swedish Squidmar being a juggernaut on
Hmm.
YouTube, for example. I think that there is room for a lot more of those things, but I think it can also combine with the gaming side.
It has to, right?
I
That's
think
one of the
reality.
competitive advantages of 40K in general. It's not just about the gaming. There's a lot more behind it. There's 40 years of books. Like there's all this stuff behind it, right?
I mean, most I think interface with Warhammer still just by the lore, and maybe they play the Space Marines too. I
Yep.
think what Amazon is doing together with Henry Cavill will completely catapult this in a
Yeah.
tremendous successful way. I'm hoping for that.
Hmm.
It's a bit of my bet, so to speak. But I think that one part is also that most people who are involved with Warhammer do not know who Liam VSL is, or that LGT is existing, or even the WTC. So I mean, in Counter-Strike, I think about 30% actually care about the esports side, and 70% are just playing the game.
Sure.
So, and that's still a very engaged esport game, so to speak. So I think it's about also getting the game and this hobby out there from not only, can we say, the nerd culture, and nerd culture nowadays is a
It's mainstream.
beast. I would say it's probably the largest entertainment
Yeah.
movement we have, and it's just, we see it at all these big cons, we see it all these different things happening. It's just amazing in how people are interacting, connecting, living out what they like to, meeting their friends. Like, it's crazy good. And I mean, DreamHack has been in the forefront of that when it comes to digital culture, for sure. And I think that this will happen within the Warhammer miniature games, or it's already is happening.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I think we are in the middle of it right now.
I think so
So
too.
I think in a couple of years we will for sure have. For sure, it's a strong word, but
Of course.
I really believe that we will have quite many professional players within the game.
Sure.
I think that what we have seen the Art of War guys doing, will have more of that, and they will be super big channels. Like, they already are big, but they will be, X Factor, much bigger. So
So what
I
does
think it would be
sponsorship look like?
good for those who like that, like the ones who want it to be bigger. I think will like it. Not maybe everyone wants, and I think that's also the cool part with this hobby, that you can play with your own rules. You can do your own thing. You don't need to connect with the larger international community. But of course, it's one of the things that excites me.
Okay, so when I'm looking at growing Warhammer 40,000, I think it really boils down to three things. So I'm gonna give you the things that I've looked at, and I'd like your opinions on how these work. I think you've already touched on a few of them. So let me just get all three of these out, and then we can kind of break it down from there. So number one, 40K needs to be more fun to watch. There's a big problem. Streams are grainy, angles can be bad, there's no graphics. It can be very confusing for new people, like you said yourself, to actually understand. So people would need professional camera setups. You need live overlays, score, mission decks. You need like an esports HUD. So guys like Joe from War Games Live is doing a great job at building that. And if you guys don't know, Joe from War Games Live, shout out, love the guy. He actually had 13,000 viewers at peak when he was streaming at the WTC. So this stuff is growing like crazy. Two, so it needs to be more fun to watch, and he's doing a good job on that, but he needs to go further. Two, I think, and you've also touched on this one, the standards of events needs to go up. And I've done a few videos of this, and I've gotten a lot of people attacking me online because I dared say that you shouldn't host crappy events. It's like, I mean, how dare you say that I should provide clocks for my basic for my players? Yeah, it's been kind of wild actually, but events just need to be better quality. Like the one I saw, I was with you out in Örebro where they had me come out and judge. That was an amazing event. It's just higher quality events need to be done. And then lastly, what I really, really want to hear you talk about is sponsorship and real investment in the actual game itself. Actually, we got a guy in the chat right now who's saying sponsorship's stupid because it's going to make like Rhinos would have to have like Tide logo or Monster logo on your transports. I don't think that's what sponsorship would actually look like. So, but
maybe
I kind of doubt it.
I have one of my favorite stories, even though it was a really sad one in the turnout, is that I was invited in 2013 to Blizzard Entertainment headquarters in Irvine. And this was the Esports Summit, and this was the first time that Blizzard ever did this.
Sure.
And the opening speech was by Mike Morhaime and Chris Sigety. So, like, the gods.
Yep.
And then, and hopefully it's okay that I say this one, because I think I never said it public, but I don't remember if it was TLO or Day 9. It was one of those, or in combined, basically asking, is it possible that we could have TLOs, what's it called? Marines, because they played Terran, having small TLO flags, and you could,
pretty funny.
have a sponsor on it, and that you could buy those microtransactions. And then Chris Sigety just answers, "Sorry, we have 4 people on the full development of everything StarCraft 2 later. We can't do it," and it kind of killed the whole summit and workshop. So I think we need to find decency within it.
Hmm.
But I do think that sponsors are overall a blessing, because it
Yes.
actually will mean that we can funnel money into the system. I mean, right now, Games Workshop is earning a tremendous amount of money, and they should, because they're
Yep.
doing things overall fantastically
Yep.
great right now.
Agreed.
I would say better than ever before.
Agreed.
The players, they play Games Workshop, or they play their retailers like AlphaSpel, for example. Then maybe AlphaSpel is sponsoring Wasteland Team Sweden, and then it's the same money just going around. What we need to do is getting money that is not just tournament fees, not only Discord or Patreon or YouTube subscriptions,
Correct.
and getting more money into the system,
Correct.
because that will mean that organizers, I mean, even someone like Joe, sure, he can make a living, but like, he at least is claiming that he's basically breaking even going to LGT, which is the biggest single tournament in the world.
And that's crazy.
Like, that shouldn't be, because he's doing such a fantastic
Yeah.
help or work, just like making all this accessible
Right.
to us at home. So I think sponsors and endorsements is really important, because they want to reach us. Like, we are overall between 25 to 45 males who very few people with marketing can reach in an efficient way. And I would say that, if I'm going, and I know that this happened in esports, and I think it will happen even more
Yep.
in Warhammer, that if I'm going to a great tournament here in Stockholm, and they provide all these clocks and mats and dices, all the equipment. There is maybe some cool prizes, and there is a sponsor. It can be a gaming company, it can be a big brand like a Monster Energy or Red
Yep.
Bull or whoever. I'm gonna be freaking loyal to that brand, because they
Absolutely.
actually supporting my hobby and making my hobby more accessible, and it also makes my hobby cheaper, to be honest. So I think there is a huge potential here for brands to come in, because Warhammer is very cheap right now
Super cheap.
compared to other types of entertainments. And I mean, you need to understand that within esports, uh, back in 2008 for DreamHack, a $10,000 sponsorship, that was like a champagne moment. Like, that was a big thing.
Yep.
In 2020, $1 million, that was almost like good nod, good job, but not more than that.
And that's exactly where we
So
are right now. We're at a point in 40K where a $10,000 sponsorship would be like a big deal, actually.
yeah, it would be gigantic, to
Right?
be honest. It
It
would be
it,
one of the
it would.
biggest sponsorships, I think,
And
right
what's
now.
funny, because I'm just gonna hop in here for a second, because what you just mentioned is males 24 to 44. It's funny. So like right now on my YouTube, I have 16,500 subscribers. Blessings. I love you all. Thank you all for tuning in.
Congrats to
Thank
that.
you. It's very cool.
Subscribe.
But what's really fun about that is that if I look at my analytics, 93% of my population is males aged 24 to 54, right? And that's just the way it is. It's also 99.9% male, which is also hilarious, and I think everyone knows that to be true. But that's very true. It's actually an area that needs to be targeted. So let's break these down and hop in here and like help me with this. How do we make the game more fun to watch? Let's start with that. How does the game get more fun to watch?
I mean, maybe I don't want to reveal all my ideas in it, but I think that right now, one part is just that we need to get the games being streamed. I think that it's a big unfortunate part where you have so many great matches who you can't even watch.
Right.
So I think that that's just like the fundamental of it. And I mean, I think it's also maybe it's a bit spicy, maybe it's not, but
It's okay.
for me, just covering one Warhammer 40K game at a time
Mm-hmm.
is enough complex. So I'm a bit, if I could say, a bit allergic to a bit how the French stream is doing, and to some extent also how Joe can do it in a team environment,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel that it just gets so confusing when you're following a game and you jump away from it, and then you come back 10 or 15 minutes later, and maybe it's hard for the viewer, so to speak. So I think in a team environment, first step is trying to have one dedicated stream per table. So having actually 8 streams going on, which
Mm.
is a pretty massive investment right now. But I also think that getting this where you can take a full game and break it down to a shorter one, because I'm gonna be honest, like when I'm watching YouTube, if it is like a 3 minute clip, I probably will start it. If it's a 10 minute, I will question it. If it's like plus 20 minutes, probably like it will almost hurt if it's not a podcast or show like this that you can like just have on the side. So I think a huge part could be also just cover all the matches, but also try to break them down. So one good example, especially I guess your audience is pretty North American, but like 50-50 or something like that.
Yeah, so we're
For
looking,
sure,
it's
a
like
lot more.
45% North America right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for sure a lot more American viewers than we have. But in Sweden, and that goes also for Norway for sure, is that of course many are fans of the NHL because ice hockey is gigantic in Sweden, for example.
Right.
And the way you consume it is that you watch, if you can, the matches of your favorite team.
Yes.
And then you watch the 10-minute highlights of each
Everyone else.
game,
Yeah.
so you can get the goals and all of that. I think that is like when we just can stream the games, that's the next layer of putting them together.
Sure.
So I think that this Warhammer, what is it called, Warhammer 40K in 40 minutes or something like that.
Yeah,
I
Play
think
on
they do
Tabletop.
it.
Shout out to them. Actually, they're
Yeah,
very
they
casual
do a
players.
tremendous.
But the thing they do, and I love it, and I just want to hop in here because I love what they do. They're extremely casual, but they actually use the correct terrain, and they make a real effort to make sure all the rules are correct, even if they're playing with fluffy armies and things. They make it fun to watch. So I have tremendous amount of respect for the Play on Tabletop guys. So just big shout out to them. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, you said it even better than I could. But I think also that is one part, and maybe I'm now really out on thin ice, but I haven't watched a lot of those parts. I'm not a partner of Art of War. I should be, but I do think also be able to get games of the very best players playing at the very highest level with the most cutting edge list that you have right now, because we know that now I blanked completely. Liam won
LGT.
LGT,
Yep.
but I can promise you that every Drukari player in the world is going and buying what Sacco just had. I can promise you that probably the Redemptors Dreadnoughts are sold out because of Innes play. Like, we know that the winning list of these big tournaments just goes and buys those models because they want to play on that very high level. I think the Raven Guard right now, it's just a tremendous strong list. For example, you have shown with the Dark Angels what can be done there. I think that can also be a spicy one here over the fall. So I do think, could you see a tournament play and get it down into more the 10, 15, 30 minutes cuts instead of watching it 2.5, 3 hours? I think that will make it really becomes more entertaining. Then I think it's a lot of technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's about like
AI helps with that a ton.
you would exactly, and
Yeah.
there are ways. I mean, AI cannot do everything, but of course, dice counting. You would love to when someone is taking their unit, and you can actually get up a screen on the side and actually see what is the name of this model, what is the stats of this model, etc. To just help them, like. At the Vaisla broadcast, we always try to bring up the secondaries, and when it was challenger cards, to at least get people to read it, because at least me, I'm a bit daft, if we could say. I think it's really hard just to listen to people, and when they say it, I also need to see it, and I know that visualizing it will make it a lot more stronger. So when you see it happening, you see someone saying it, and you also see so you can read it. That like 3 layers of it will make you understand a lot more what's happening. I also think commentary is a lot more like I really love Joe's style. I think I really love the French style, but those are very different compared to what I personally think is a way of getting more people into it. Because I think like for Joe, it's like you join his community and you just have a great weekend, and you have it every weekend when you're doing maybe your hobby stuff and other things. I think the French stream is much more, as normally French are, very focused on one personality, where from the Vaisla sides, we not trying to have it, sports commentating, but I like energy. I like to scream when things are happening. I like to like, even though maybe it's made up, but that if I'm excited and I can bring it to the people at home, and they can be excited, this dice roll actually matters, or this movement, or this player is
Yep.
behind. Now they really need to do something. I think
Yep.
those things is also a big part of making it more entertaining for the people at home. So technology, I think presentation, I do think time. So for example, at the Vesa channel, like when we do our now we did a bit long tier ranking, but normally when Jesper is do and actually doing their pieces, we try to have 10 minutes as our max. Like we're trying to
It's
do
important.
short things, because at least I already get fatigued when I'm gonna check the new Drukari Codex review, and it's like a 2.5 hour
Yeah.
piece. It's just like, how the hell will I even find 2.5 hours in my day to watch this, even if I want to? And I think that goes for many.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It needs to be made more watchable, and I think like especially with AI video editing, that's gonna help a ton on recaps. We're gonna need more stream tables at some of the bigger events, but of course that comes along with other problems. Moving on to round number 2, professionalizing events. Now I did an entire video last like 2 weeks ago on how to professionalize events, but from your perspective, what are the things that you've seen? Because I know you've traveled to a bunch of events, and if you want to talk about the new thing you had to announce, please feel free at this moment. But what are the things that you're seeing
Yeah.
that events really need to be stepping their game up in? Because there's several of them, and not all of it makes the event cost more money. There's several things that events can do that don't necessarily make the event cost more money that really improve the quality of the event. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a large topic, and you did bring something up, because I also maybe should plug a bit of
Yeah,
what
do
I'm
it, do
doing, and
it, do
also
it.
actually have something that is not public known yet, and I think it's a
Breaking
lovely opportunity
news.
doing it here together with you, Jonathan.
Breaking.
One part is that last year, no, let's see, this year we ran Vesla Mega,
Mm-hmm.
which actually some of your teammates like Chetil and others also came over competing with Eric and as others. So we ran the Wasteland Mega, and what we did was that this was at the convention center together with something called Glitched, which is like the predecessor or successor of DreamHack in Jönköping. And what we provided was, a nice venue, AC, a lot of other things going on, and trying to do it very premium.
Yep.
Of course, very costly. So I'm in big debt already from that venture, but it's just how things are sometimes. What we're also doing at Vesla is that we're providing a TTS league that is
Yep.
very successful right now, trying to also do some media coverage so you can actually see the matches. And in that way, just getting the community together. A cool initiative that is not really public, and let's say that I do it a predecessor, is that we in 2026 will form a Nordic circuit to premiere uh, competitive team play in the Nordic countries, also including Iceland and Latvia. So that's a
Fair.
part that we're working together with the team captains and the big figures within each of these countries to try to bring the communities together. We also have the Swedish Championship that is actually pretty big nowadays in Sweden. So
Yep.
we took it over last year, and it's been running for many years.
But what are the
Last year we
individual
actually
things
were.
that actually make the event better? Right? Like,
So I
what are
think
the
that
actual
what we
qualities?
yeah, so for that event, what coming up here is doing it good is that, of course, it's one of the few invitational tournaments, because actually it is the best players coming on there.
Sure.
I think the stream adds a tremendous amount of value, because then
Agreed.
actually people can follow it from home.
I agree.
We also made actually national news, so we were both on SVT and TV4, the two
Massive.
biggest TV channels, and we were in newspapers, etc. So I think those are some parts, because there is interest for this, especially when it's like the national championship. But I think it's also about creating, content and excitement, building these stars. We're trying to work a lot with, faces and the name, so that when you see someone playing, you like when you go to the tournament next weekend and that player is there, you actually recognize it. So I think that, someone like Björn Eriksson, for example, the reigning Swedish champion, he was debutant last year at WTC, did a
Mhm.
great tournament as one of the few only Knights players. He came sixth at the World Championship in Atlanta,
Yep.
and he was on his way to be number one at WTC. I think after the fourth round, he was 80-0 in points, for example. So a beast. And what
Yep.
have happened is that I think, of course, through who he is and his own success, but Vesla became the platform for him,
Yep.
and the Swedish Championship became the platform for him. So I think it's about trying to build a bit of superstars also.
Hmm.
But I think building a successful tournament right now, it's also about getting the new players coming in to really be able to help them. I'm not a seasoned player, so when I played this tournament, you mentioned that you were a judge on. I mean, Jonathan, you helped me out as one of the tournament organizers in my games when things were a bit iffy.
Hmm.
And I think that I faced other players who were even newer than me. So I think that's a part. It's not only about looking at the very best, it's also about continuing this great community part
Agreed.
that the Warhammer 40K is about, and really including players. Like, I met the player in May in a tournament. He started in January and signed up the first thing he did, and then he bought his figurines and he painted them and came. And I faced him in the last round, and we had a tremendous great match together. So I think there's also those stories of trying to get people to join in.
Yeah, and actually talking about like professionalizing organizations, I just want to give a big shout out to the Tennessee Elite Open in the chat right now. It was a big super chat from an organizer. Would be great if there was an actual structure imposed from GW. Something is missing on how the circuit is structured. Bro, I completely agree. So there
Oh,
does need a
it's
little more centralized structuring. And thank you so much for the super chat. If you guys don't know about the Tennessee Elite Open, check him out. He has some great events. He's got one coming up in October, another Teams League, I think in January. So give him some love. So thank you. But yeah, what do you think about that? Like,
I
is
think
it?
it's a spicy topic, if I'm going to
Yeah.
be honest, because I've been working with Valve around both Counter-Strike and Dota. I've been working with Riot around League of
Mm-hmm.
Legends. I worked with Blizzard around the StarCraft 2 and the WCCS, and
Yeah.
of course also when the Overwatch and the Overwatch League came into the space. I actually think, especially in Warhammer 40K, that the community should do ourselves. And it's nothing bad against Games Workshop, but they should focus on making a great game, provide
Interesting.
all the things that they're doing great.
Okay.
I think it's great that they are hosting a world championship on the solo side, but I think that they should try to make the greatest game, and I think the community should try to build the best competitive circuit.
Interesting. Okay.
Because my knowledge is, and it's no bashing, it's just
No,
that
I gotcha.
it's freaking hard to build communities, and you need to build the communities.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you have like a Blizzard, hiring 50 people or 100 people doing esports,
Yeah.
where's Overwatch League today? Like, it's non-existing. And I think that there is a risk that if Games Workshop takes too much in on this one,
Mm.
they will need to scale it up. They need to spend the millions of dollars, and that will kind of destroy the already existing ecosystem. And if they step back, there is nothing left. I
Right.
think that they should instead try to support it, and I think they're supporting it in the right way.
Yeah.
You know, not too much, not too little. Of course, there can be ways of doing it even better, but I think a bit that it's almost like the political part.
Yeah.
Should the government or should the public do the things? And
Mm.
I'm a strong believer in community building, that if the public can regulate itself, organize itself, it will be even better. If we can't, well, then Games Workshop should step in and sort it. But what I'm seeing right now is just a very lively ecosystem. I see so many new tournaments. I see the old tournaments keeping up. I see just a lot of great things happening.
Okay.
So I think it's more about collaboration.
Okay.
That's my view. And we have some challenges or things. I think terrain settings, for example, is one thing. And actually, it's also another announcement that I even forgot, and I don't know how I forget that part. But uh, as of very recently, I did join the WTC management, meaning that I will help and support to grow the WTC as much as I can,
I love it.
primarily or primarily from a commercial side of things.
Yep.
So working with Tom and the team here for the 2026, yesterday it was announced that we will be going back to Belgium, Mechelen. And I think that why I'm really wanted to get involved and reached out and had this conversation also with Neil Kerr, one of the co-founders, etc., is that I think that still today WTC is just way and above everything else when it comes to competitive Warhammer 40K
Sure.
and prestige. I think like it is the best players of each nation
Yeah,
basically
it
forming
is.
these teams. And it is the competition where most players around the world say, this is the best Warhammer 40k you can play. This is the tournament you want to win. This is kind of why many continue playing Warhammer 40k. And I think that WTC is doing it fantastically good, but I think that they can do it even better. So that's kind of what I want to support. And we can talk about this terrain and unification and rules and so on. I think that WTC has done a great work in making Warhammer 40k the competitive side being as good as it can be. And many are only playing WTC terrain, many are only playing the WTC FAQ. And I, even though I love that it could be Games Workshop terrain, it's just regardless of how I twist and turn it, comes down to the WTC is better right now. And you know I don't want to bash either here, but you can see that Innes, when he had come forth now at the UKTC, terrain is the biggest problem. He really don't think it creates a great game of Warhammer 40k of what UKTC is using, and I think that the WTC just have solved that problem. But that could be something where I think Games Workshop are doing big steps. I think that they are getting the game a lot better for competitiveness. And sure, if you're doing the rules, maybe you should also control the terrain. So I could see that being solved in the future. But I think it's about the community. I think the community needs to try to solve this. And if we take Counter Strike as an example, I'm a really old school Counter Strike player. The original Counter Strike part was time limit and you saved hostages. Then the bombs came into the play, and then actually a Swede discovered or reinvented something called charge only. So you only got points when you were the attacker, and that made the game a much more exciting because otherwise you were sitting just camping out the time. And then eventually the Finnish and American way of max rounds became the thing.
Hmm.
But what I'm saying here is that the community had different ways of playing the game.
Which progressed
And
it.
then thanks to the CPL of the USA, together with ESL and a few others, we're able to unify that this is the way
Yeah.
that we play this game globally. So I think that that will be important, but I think it should come down to the big tournament organizers. Unfortunately, though, we can just not load the new map pack. We have, what is it, 2,200 tournament organizers around the world that have invested their dear
Sure.
money into terrain pieces. This is something that would take time to
Of course.
clean up, if we could say like that. But I think that that's what we should do, if I could say like that.
Cool. I actually see that's actually a different take than I have, so I love hearing it. That's freaking great. So then I go on to the third problem, and the third problem is the money, because as we just said, hey,
Yep.
streams are great, but we want to stream 8 tables. Shit costs money. Hey, professionalizing tournaments is great, but we need to update things, and we need better lighting, and we need to make sure that there's a bar, there's food services available, and we need better places, and that stuff costs money. So the third problem is, where does the money freaking come from? And this is where I really, really think that you're going to bring a lot of value to the WTC team, because I know you've done these negotiations, like you were saying, you did the original negotiations to bring Monster in. Like, how do we get these sponsorships actually into Warhammer? If you have words of advice to the TOs out there, hey, this is how you reach out to a sponsor to get you the $5,000 you need for the down payment for the hotel room, or whatever. Like, what would you say? How do we actually get that sponsorship in? Because it makes sense. We spoke about earlier, hey, they have the target audience. It is a relatively affluent audience. This is where sponsors want to be promoting, but they're not doing it because we are failing to reach out to them as a community. So how do we do that better so that we can actually make these improvements we've been talking about?
Yeah, it's a really, really tricky part, and it is a bit chicken and the egg, and it
Yep.
is a bit crab walking. That I do think to some extent investments needs to come first, and then the money come later. I think that's one part.
Okay.
I do think also that we need to be able to deliver enough value for the brands. I do think we have an upside that a lot of the Warhammer players do sit on companies and with the right network to maybe bring in a big brand. But I think it needs to be something like the WTC to bring in the big partners first, and then when that have happened and these cogwheels are really starting to work, then it will dripping down all the way. And I mean, I'm very passionate in the way that, you know, you have your local tournament, and then you get the local sponsor that can be like the supermarket or
Sure.
whatever from that city.
Mm-hmm.
They sponsor the local team goes to the regionals, they win the regionals, they go to the nationals, and then suddenly this local brand or company can have exposure on national TV or whatever it can be. That's how I think we build a much more healthy pyramid than what esports were ever able to do.
Yep.
But I think it's about, you know, levitating what's already there, and then be able to bring in a couple of big brands to begin with. And big brands, you know, the problem for them is that they will not spend you know, $10,000 because that's just too little for them. So it needs to be something that is much more bigger and mature. I think that, you know, in the US, in the England, for example, we do see bigger circuits where you actually can do, you know, 10 events or whatever, and sell it as a bundle. And that's a bit of what I've been thinking and are doing with the Vasela side of things. I think for WTC, it's more about this because it's like the only global tournament in the world, so it has a different appeal. It's, you know, the Olympics or the World Cup, so to speak.
So if I'm hearing you
So
correctly, and let me just clarify, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is that for my local tournament here in Oslo, we're going to have 50 participants or 70 participants or whatever in the GT in a month. We don't reach out to Red Bull. We don't reach out to Monster. What we do is we reach out to the more local soda company here. Be like, hey, we're right. But for the WTC, that's where you're calling your boys up at Monster back up for, because it's a more of a global area. Is that what I'm
exactly.
hearing?
That's what I would say. Then you
Okay.
should also know that, I mean, this is also complex because each different companies have different type of budgets.
Yep.
So, you know, the Red Bulls and the Monsters, sometimes they have a Norwegian budget,
Mm-hmm.
or they have a Nordic budget, or they have a European budget, or they have a global budget. And sometimes maybe you want to pick from all of those.
Sure.
You know, compare a Twitch to a TikTok, for example.
Yep.
So Twitch, it's all HQ based out of San Francisco. That's where you're getting the budgets and all of those parts. Where TikTok, for example, they have local offices around the world, so they will spend money only for that country, and they are pretty able to do whatever they want, if we could say like that. They're like, they don't need to get the big approval for someone upstairs. So it's also about having the right contact points, having the right understanding, but also be able to actually provide the value. Like, because marketing is always a bit of shotgun effect. Like, you can never say we spend $50,000 on this thing and that will make us, you know, earning back money.
Yep.
Like, normally you don't be able to convert marketing into direct sales
Right.
if you don't have an endemic part. Like, for the ones selling, you know, dices or doing terrain, you actually can see that.
Sure.
But when it comes to these big brands, I mean, that's much more a shotgun effect, and it's really hard to see someone were at the Monster event and then in the next week they go into the local supermarket and, oh, I pick up a Monster because I had one of this. You're associated with something great. Like, you know,
Right.
they have a very different way of doing the marketing. So I think it's about doing the value, but I would say that typically brands, they do really care about event visitors.
Yep.
So if you have 50 visitors, you know, that's really hard. But if you could have a big tournament with maybe 300 players, but then you can have a 1,000 or 2,000 people coming out because they want to meet this big painter. There is a cosplay competition. There is a lot of other things going on at the
Yeah.
same time. Then suddenly you can sell on that one, and it can be a necessity. But of course, streams and the social media is also the big eyeball. So
Sure.
typically in esports, you need to run an event and having a broadcast and a strong social media platform to really be able to get some more of those dimes that you're looking for.
Sure. So Christian, we've been actually going for almost an hour now already, believe it or not. Do you think maybe we could do like? Do you think we got like maybe 5 to 10 minutes where we could just do some Q&A with people?
I mean, I have the time. Like, we can go on for 1 hour more if you want to. Like, but
Beautiful.
we don't need to. but we can.
Then let's do it. All right, so guys, so I'm gonna give Christian another question here, but go ahead and if you have questions for Christian, start typing them into the chat. Yeah, super chats are of course appreciated, but not necessary as always. But we do love them. I do have a trip to ATL to represent all of you at the World Championship of Warhammer coming up real soon.
Yeah, congrats on that one. Amazing. And I felt a bit bad. I didn't. It was the invasion, right?
Yeah,
that we played
man.
here
Yeah, it was
just a week
invasion.
ago. And I should have done some coverage from our side. We
Yeah, we were
apologize both
hoping
to
you
you
guys
and
were gonna come out.
I should have. And I think Shettle won, right?
Yeah, Shettle got first. Yeah, Shettle got first.
Was that the Admech he played?
With Admech, he's that dirty man. He just came up and crushed everyone's
Yeah,
souls, hopes, and dreams. It was beautiful.
They're, according to StatCheck, they're the #1 faction right now. Who would have seen that?
So he and I are going to do a live stream on Friday because we're going to be playing. Because I am firmly convinced my Dark Angels list beats him, and he says no, and I'm like, okay, well we're going to have to find out. So you guys should tune in for that on Friday. We're gonna stream it. But yeah, so if you guys got questions for Christian, go ahead and start typing them in, and I am gonna go ahead and open it up a little bit. How do I say this? Let's go ahead and start closing this down, okay? So, what advice do you have to Warhammer players and tournament organizers who really want to see the game grow? What are the steps that they need to start taking right now?
Tricky one, but I think a lot is about trying to clean up, like have nice graphics, try to do a better player pack, try to make it more professional. I think also try to do more marketing, like to actually actively reach out to the local gaming clubs, to the retailers, etc., just to drive more interest. I think that's something that we at Wasteland could do so much better and haven't. But it should be said that no one thought it could be a Discord in Sweden that would work, and today we are 1,600 people on the Discord,
awesome. Wow.
and it's a vibrant, living Discord. So we're doing something that maybe many thought was impossible, but I also think there is needs of gapping this surface, because I always think there's like 15 people on our side of the street playing together and 15 people on the other side, but we don't know about each other.
Totally.
So I think that can also be a good part for tournament organizers in the way of trying to really actively seek new players. I think a hard part is for sure the rookie syndrome we have to get those into tournament play, because it's a big investment curve. But yeah, I think that's trying to get out there, because like it's cheesy, but I always say that Warhammer 40k is like Fight Club. Everyone does it, but no one knows about it and speaks about it. and that's just the reality. I mean, listen to this. Jesper, my co-founder, the team captain of Sweden, he's a doctor. His colleagues says he's going to Vegas, and he's like, yeah, what you gonna do there? Like party? Is this a bachelor? What's happening? And then after a lot of asking, it turns out he's going to Las Vegas Open, who's happening also this weekend. But this was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even know there were tournaments in Sweden. Even less, he knew that his colleague was the best player in Sweden and one of the best players in the entire world.
That's hilarious.
I mean, that's Fight Club,
Yeah,
that's Fight Club to me.
That's absolutely hilarious. Okay, so what is the timeline from everything we spoke about tonight? So if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing is, yeah, you fully believe that individual players will be able to actually make a living playing Warhammer 40k. This is probably not going to be like your average player, of course. This is going to be more people who are treating it seriously, who are getting sponsorships to travel around. What does that time frame look like? Is that a 1 year thing? Is that a 5 year thing? Because esports, you guys said you had a huge jump from like 2011 to 2015, where it was like $10,000 sponsorship for this event, and then suddenly $1 million sponsorship from this event. So is it a 5 year time jump? Does it all have to do with the success of Amazon's new show with Henry Cavill? Like, what is the realistic time frame of this developing?
I mean, it's super hard to say. I think that for sure it should go slower than esports.
Okay.
Just because the magnitude of players, like we will never have, hundreds of millions of players. But reality is right now, if you look at the game, of course, it's dwindling down a bit. But like Hearthstone, I know that like Apex Legends is not as big as it was some years ago, but they have about the same player pool as Warhammer 40k has right now. So like Warhammer 40k is much larger than what people believe. I think we can also look at just the explosion of chess. It's been around, I don't know for how many hundreds of years, and now chess is just larger than ever, and it
Boom.
kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
And they have somewhat of the same challenges than Warhammer 40k has. So I think for sure that, I mean, maybe now I'm putting a lot on my shoulders, but let's say that we could get some big brands into WTC.
I think huge. It'd be huge.
Then you will see those brands and
Yeah.
similar brands also going into sponsorship of players, and then it kind of a snowball because suddenly we can professionalize and doing things even
Yep.
better. It's a bit just building. It could take a bit longer, but I mean we can just see how good 10th has been, how great Games Workshop is doing. I mean,
Yep.
check out their stock value out of the last 10 years. It's better than Tesla and Apple in the way how
Dude,
they've
it's
been
crazy.
growing.
It's crazy.
And now with this Amazon deal, of course, we know that the entertainment business is struggling into providing great entertainment in the way that the fans want it.
Yep.
And Warhammer fans are one of the most diehard fans there is. But I also believe that it's a great opportunity because it's never been done before. This is not something where we have seen a Spider-Man movie for the 50th time. Like we haven't seen a proper Warhammer 40k movie or TV show
That's true.
sanctioned by Games Workshop being done, and just that will completely make it. I think it would become as big as Star Wars or Marvel or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or whatever. I think we can see a Game of Thrones explosion happening.
Yep. I agree with you
And
on that
then
one.
we should be prepared to take on all these players because maybe they coming as new and into this maybe doesn't like the school cafeterias. Maybe they actually want to be at a big proper convention center. So that
Yep.
would be great for the LGTs and the LVOs, but we need a lot more, and we need them close. We need them in every country, in every city, basically.
Yeah. Good answer. So we got a $10 super chat from Mr. 50 Mike. Says Shetzel and you need to come up with a bet of some kind for Friday, like a good bet. So Christian, I'm gonna need you to weigh in on this. He says that if I win, Shetzel's gonna have to shave his beard, and if Shetzel wins, I'm gonna have to wear the notorious The Anime shirt. There's a guy, and it's not an appropriate anime shirt to be worn on stream. Like,
I mean, you will handle it. I'm not sure though how Shetty will. I mean, Shetty, I think has a higher stake here.
I don't know, man. I am a Christian man. I'm not sure I could actually wear that shirt on stream. I could do some ridiculous things, but I'm not sure I could do that. Thanks, 50. We love you, appreciate you. We got a question from the Tennessee Elite Open. Shout out to Frank. What are your thoughts for cash prizes to try to push the professionalism in the sport?
I saw several actually almost from the beginning of this show asking about this one, and
Yes.
and this is a tricky one.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say that when I came into this and we started talking about the Vesla Mega, for example, that maybe we should try to put on $10,000 on the prize money from the get-go to really levitate it, and maybe we should, because the event could have been much more successful even though everyone going to it was happy. I think the hard part though is that I'm not sure if it's suited for this community with prize money. And why I say that is that even though I come from esports, I talk about this competitiveness, people being ranked, who is the winner, who is playing the most meta, etc. The game is just like, I go to a tournament, I get paired against someone, and I say, "Hello, my name is Christian. I'm playing this army. Let's have a nice time, 3 or 4 hours together. This is the rules, and let's play together to try to get this as a good game as possible." The great thing is that the world's best players like yourself, Jesper, John Lennon, whoever, they do the same. Like, I really tremendously love the Warhammer 40k community because it's so friendly that actually playing against one of the best players in the world probably be almost more enjoyable for you than just playing against your friends sometimes.
I've given more takebacks at the top table than I have at the bottom table. like it's just the way it goes, man. Like,
and then you have the people like me who would like to win, and then you see the horns growing in turn 2, turn 3, and so on. No, but like honestly, I think that that's something that is really important to protect in this
Okay.
community, especially now when the community is so much bigger and people coming in. So, big kudos to Neil Kerr, Tom Isik, and everyone for the WTC, because I think they were one of the successes of changing the climate, because
Hmm.
Warhammer in the mid 2010s were not fun. It was gotcha, people were acting pretty badly, to be honest, and it was coming having bad actors. Now the game and the community is just fantastic, and prize money could change that, because money always change things. And to be honest, I also think that prize money in esports, even though you have the international with millions and millions of dollars in prize money,
Yeah.
prize money should be seen as bonuses. That
Okay.
shouldn't be the living.
Okay.
So I'm not sure on this one. I think we will get there. People within the Vesla crew, for example, recommended us to not have prize money, and one of the parts was that, well, people will start to cheat and they will play unfair, etc., etc., to try to win. At the same time, I'm so confident that the skill level is enough high that the one winning big tournaments will still be the best players, and the best players, they are playing by this honor codex. Like, I call them Warhammer
Yeah.
samurais, not only because they go up 6 in the morning, they play tonight, they stand up and all that, but they also play with the honor and the love to the game. And as long as we have the best players doing that, and we are very cautious of having hard judges. I think Jay from WTC is, a pinnacle point of this part.
The Mohawk.
100%.
God,
Like,
that's so awful.
then I think I think we are safe. So what I'm saying, I'm not too afraid that prize money necessarily will change the game, because I still think it would be the best players winning, and the best players are already so strongly protecting
Yeah.
these community values.
I agree with you, actually. I tend to agree with you where, because I do understand the fear. But at the same time, I also think that when you wrap everything else we've spoken about, hey, we've got the top tables are all now being streamed. One, it makes it a hell of a lot harder to accomplish. But two, it puts a lot more pressure on you, especially like when your reputation is on the line to not do stuff like that. And but I also like what you said. I think what you said, another thing that you said was actually really, really intelligent. That should be perceived as bonus. We should be getting our money elsewhere. And the way that you've been talking about how we can get sponsorships into these events, onto these individual players in the future, there is a potential where we can actually get that salary, if you will, onto the player, and then bonuses are in tournaments, and that would be I think that would be a much more friendly competitive environment. So I think I like your answer there a lot. We have a
Yeah, I think we need to just figure it out. Like, I'm not 100% clear, but I also think that if someone now, and I had missed that the Tennessee did do that, if you're right with it, but going out with a $10,000 prize pool, I think you will attract the world's best players going
totally.
there at this very moment, and with that, I think that that gives, that's the type of event the sponsor then can attract you, because you can guarantee that you will have great players and the environment and so on. But not sure. I'm not sure which
Someone
one
needs to
is
try
the
it,
best
basically, and
way.
then we need to see.
I think it will happen.
Yeah,
I think it's so many people coming into this like me. Hopefully, with my background in community building, I will nurture this in a good way, and not being because we will see bad actors coming into this space trying to make big splashes as money is getting here. Like, that's
sure.
just the nature of it.
Let's do a couple more here. United Wargamer has a question, and United, I know you mentioned your app earlier. Please feel free to post a link to it, man. Let people know what you're doing. We love that you're trying to grow the functionality of the community. He has a question for you. He says, what features could be added to streams to increase their entertainment values? 3-hour games can be long in a game that isn't very fast paced. Like, so I think we already covered a decent bit of it, but do you want to touch on that pretty quickly?
If I'm reading, help me here, Jonathan,
Yeah.
just to correctly understand the question. But if we see, for example, Warhammer's official stream, they sometimes add in, a painting at the same time as the game is going on, and if that is what's been meant, I don't like that at all. I
Yeah.
think that the Warhammer game is so ultra complex, just only with the terminology and all of that,
Hmm.
that I think engaged commentators will not have a problem to fill out the time. And to be honest, I also think just listening to the players and see how they're reasoning. I think like the most exciting from the WTC and War Masters this year for me, when I knew it a bit better, was just having the camera on the player, seeing how he was thinking for 5 minutes about this very crucial move. For me, that's lightning. That's like exciting to see the tension, and then you can add in a bit of commentary that how like re like adding even more fuel to the tension being there. Like, this player really needs now to make the right move, and this is complicated. He needs to think about this. He needs to think about that. Let's see how will it act when he's moving up to the pieces to move it. I think I like that more. Or did I misunderstand the question, do you think?
No, I think you basically understood it. Maybe one of the things he was mentioning is like, is it just like graphical overlays, or should it be like, hey, we can have a stream and the app allows for the person to like click the button and the button will only. Oh, actually, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Like, could you have a stream where like it's interactive, so you can click on the
Yeah,
button and on your
you
screen
can.
the profile pops up, but it doesn't do it for everyone else. That's actually kind of a cool idea.
So I'm not sure if YouTube is supporting it, but actually Twitch, and it's a good friend of mine who did build
Oh,
this
fun.
for Twitch.
Oh, that's sick.
So he built something called Twitch extensions. So it's very utilized within the gaming side, and a
Yeah.
lot of games for a while did deliver extensions. So like, let's say that you play World of Warcraft and you watch that stream,
Yep.
then you can have a Wowhead extension that makes that you as a user can see what gear the player has,
Yeah.
even though the player don't show it.
Mhm.
So I think for sure there is a possibility, at least on Twitch. I'm not sure if YouTube have it, that you can build like an overlay HUD,
That's cool.
which you then can add with, schedules, a lot of things, and so on, and that could be suited for it.
Oh, and you can.
I
Yeah.
think one thing that is big, and I think that Vase have done partially good,
Mhm.
is that as the games are 3 to 4 hours long, you also have like a 1.5 hour break in between. And many just have a pause, they run some commercial setup, but we at least try to do video edit content about the WTC team,
Sure.
about the players, etc. So you always can see something that you also could see on YouTube, for example. So I think one part is also to fill the in between with exciting things, and player interviews, for example. I know Joe is doing a lot. We have done really great with those, I would say. I think like that, about delivering the excitement on site to the
Yeah.
people at home.
Yeah. We got a super chat from 50 Mike here again. Love you. Homeboy's getting paying for my hotel room right now. He goes, at the very minimum, have unit cards that pop up on the stream stat and rules, but he goes on to expand actually some things that I really like. And you can have percentages like unit crunch shows that shows the ability to kill other units, percentages like what's the likelihood that this guy's going to make the charge, etc. That can just pop up on stream, where you go like, hey, going for the 9-inch charge. Well, we all know that a 9-inch charge is 24% success rate or a 47% success rate with a reroll. So it's like, oh, that's cool for that stuff like that to pop up on stream. So United Gamer, hopefully that helps you. And
Yeah,
give you some ideas.
I mean, dice counting and dice percentages is actually not so complicated to
Right.
do. I think that the hard part, though, is just that people on the highest level, they go so fast. They are not doing it in an entertaining way. It's just roll, 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 next one, roll, 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 and they play
Yeah.
so fast, like a Liam VSL or someone like that. And also Ines playing, tremendously fast. So to be able to translate that with graphics, for sure, I think, like, showing all this part, but it's pretty hard to produce
Sure.
it right
Seems.
now. You need quite a lot of investment. So I still think right now where we are is about providing so tournaments are streamed, so more tables are streamed, and maybe that we can do these editorial pieces where you cut it down.
Sure.
The next step then would be to build it like NFL, for example. I mean, like, American sports is just amazing with all the stats, with the
Insane.
information, with the graphics, with all that part, and that will also help the game. I mean, imagine that you could take your piece and then you just move it and you actually see it counting the inches as you draw it. Suddenly it would be so freaking cool, to be honest.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. I think that's awesome. Oh my gosh, there's some renegade in the chat right now. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this name, but his name is like Neil Carr. Are you a car driver, Neil Carr? Mr. Neil Kerr himself. He's one of the co-founders of the WTC. We love that guy. He's awesome. And thanks for hanging out, man.
100%. And need to mention you at least a couple of times, Neil, or every time I'm speaking about Warhammer for sure.
It's impossible not to. He's our Scottish little Pookie Bear. All right, so Christian, I think this is awesome. I think we covered a bunch of stuff. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your expertise with us. Do you have any like closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the community? Because I know you're all about this community building, and I love it. That's actually what I've done with the entire channel and the Discord and everything. And we've been so focused, and we've got a lot of dear friends in it. So I'm totally on board with you on how important it is to build like the community to help continue to grow Warhammer. It sounds to me like you're saying that Warhammer is just on the right track. Things are growing the way they need to grow. Do you have any like last minute comments on that?
No, but I mean, for me, I just see the macro factors. Like Games Workshop doing so tremendously good. The growth of the players. I don't have any numbers out there right now, but I mean, it's growing with like 10, 15, 20% every year. And we see it also on the tournament side. I think it grew 10% last year in unique players. I think, the overall message is just like get into this hobby. Probably you are if you are watching this show, but and also try to like get out, sign up for a tournament. It is not scary. People are super friendly. They will help you. I think that getting into this community and getting the minutes on the table, like I'm always regretting that I play way too little. I wish I could play every week at least. I don't, but I should, because it's so much fun. Like I'm always pumped on that part. I think that the other part is if you are yourself a organizer or a good player or aspiring player, I think like trying to build this marketing, trying to be engaged, trying to make some noise, if you could say, but also collaborate. I mean, one of the core parts with Vesla is that we reached out to 35 different gaming clubs and associations before we even launched. So I think this is also about trying to like, sure, we should be a bit competitive and you should be proud of what you do, both with your game and your organizing, but also try to collaborate, help out. And people are doing this. I think it's like amazing how at least it's working in Sweden. I think it works the same around the world. And then hopefully, I mean, hopefully you will be excited of what Vesla is doing on YouTube. Please subscribe, go into our Discord. I think those are really great things to do. And if you are from the Nordics, you can count on that there will be a lot more going on in our region here, because we have so many strong teams and are aspiring for these top 10s and beat Sweden to take the 4th place in the tournaments, I guess. And then, of course, pay attention to the WTC, because I think that we are turning the track into the right direction. I know it's been a lot of noise coming out of this year's event, but I think it was a phenomenal tournament. And hopefully, and I'm pretty sure that in Mechelen, Belgium, in next year will be even better. So, and tune into the streams and support, channels like Jonathan's. I think that's also a great way of just showing appreciation, because I think you're doing a tremendous job. So
Thanks,
just
man.
happy to be able to join in.
Appreciate that. I'm going to read one more super chat. We got it from Mr. Rock. He says, snapshot commentary of the deploys, what secondary and plays they set up for. That's actually a really cool idea. I do like that. And then I got one more question.
So we actually do it at Vesla.
Oh, do you?
We actually do that. Yeah, so like we always, when a match starts, we will show the terrain of the different picks. We will show the missions happening. And then for each secondary, we always try to bring them up on screen so you actually can read it. Unfortunately, the Warhammer rhythm is that everything happens like fight phase, end of phase, drawing cards, doing the actions, like those important things happens within a time window of 5 minutes. And then you have like 25 minutes of no action when it's boring. But we actually do that. We're trying to really educate and look at those things and bring them on screen.
And we got one more question specifically for you. It comes from I Lost Lane. Would you travel to other countries to cover events, and how big would said events have to be for Vesla to cover it?
Oh, wow. Good question. So we are in a bit of discussions on that. And my goal would have been to broadcast actually 2 Swedish tournaments here in September, but unfortunately for private reasons wasn't possible. But my goal with Vesla right now is trying to start covering, let's say one tournament a month or something,
Mhm.
and that would be primarily in Sweden, but could also be in the Nordics. Would love to, like, let's say if we get the opportunity, we would absolutely go to the World Championship and stream that if we could. But it's tricky, but hopefully we can get it solved. Who knows? So I mean, reality is just right now I'm paying everything out of my pocket, and of course
Yep.
there is basically no revenues to be seen. So reaching this break even side will take some time. But I'm too passionate and too all in on this one, so
Love it.
nothing can stop me. And hopefully I will be able to bring in some revenues for it to make it also profitable and possible.
So that's awesome, guys.
So
Oh,
I guess we just pick and choose from the top to the bottom. Like, of course, if we can go to WTC and if we could do World Championship, would be number ones. If it close in Sweden, if it's in the Nordics, if it's something in between, harder. But yeah, we're open for everything.
that sounds like a
Just reach
reach
out.
out and talk to him. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Guys, this is Christian Lord. He is a freaking Chad. He's running the company Vizsla. You can find the links to their socials down below. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your expertise with us. I want to check in with you maybe in a couple months, and maybe we could do an update on some stuff that has been developing in the Warhammer world. And if you're down for it, I'd have you on again sooner than that, and we could do like a little stream night where we can get your Blood Angels on the table. I'd like to see it, man.
No, that would be a disaster.
No, it'd be fun,
But
man. It'd be a
who knows?
blast. I do these like these coaching live streams where I'll take newer players on and we'll do like a coaching match for everyone to hop in on and stuff. And it's always a total blast to see people like so like we get to explain, hey, why this might not have been the correct position, why this might not be the correct maneuver, and then we rewind time or redo it. So these things can be actually really, really cool and educational for people. So if you're interested, you're always welcome, and we'd love to have you on again.
Lovely, and same. Hope to bring you also back on the Vesla show in the near future. So that would be more exciting. And also see you having your minis on the table. I think that's a must-have. That's something we need just to arrange here in the near future. So excited about it.
Cool, man. All right, man. Well, have a great night. Blessings. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you have any more questions for Mr. Christian, make sure you add him. You can find him on Discord and on the Vizsla Discord, which is also linked down below, and you can find his channel as well. So with that, we're going to cut out of here. All you have a freaking